Alright, let's see if this works. Hi, my name is Kumi Balcon. I have written several blog posts and I've decided to put it in the video format. So here we are. First topic is a post I did, thoughts on hedonism, because I was thinking about hedonism as a guiding life philosophy, because I no longer subscribe to traditional religion, or at least the religions that I was brought up with. And that might be taking a turn, so more on that later. But at this time when this was written, I was looking at hedonism as a lifestyle, because if religion is totally man-made and we don't need to subscribe to it, then I could totally decide for myself what it is I want to do. So hedonism is defined as the ethical theory that pleasure, in the sense of the satisfaction of desires, is the highest good and proper aim of human life. Okay, so I seriously consider this as an alternative, and I considered it because I was in the quandary of, does God care what we do? Because of course in the Christian background that I have, pleasure is a very ticklish ground. So, and a lot of sin is associated with pleasure. So I wanted to, if God doesn't really care, because all these rules that say that a lot of pleasure is associated with sin, if man made up all those rules, does God doesn't really care, so why not give it a good, thorough think through, you know what I'm saying? I tend to think of hedonism as saturating your five senses with pleasure, your favorite things, combining those sensations, and then having your breath taken away. So hedonism is like, okay, indulge in the travel, you go to the restaurant, you indulge in the local food, you smell the spices, you smell the locals, the bathes, the fragrant ones. Not all. Pleasure, remember we're on pleasure. You smell, you totally immerse yourself in that experience. And for me it would be travel and novelty, because those things turn me on. The only thing is that that is unsustainable, right? The unrestrained pursuit of physical pleasure is bound to lead to a quick burnout. So if you were thinking of hedonism only as the indulgence of physical pleasure, that is not sustainable. That is the conclusion that I came to. So if we are extending it beyond physical pleasure, what does that mean, right? It includes pleasure of the soul and spirit. This is me taking it beyond what is just the base definition on Google and stuff, right? So pleasure of the soul and spirit. To me, that means doing things that grant pleasure, not only in the present, but in the future as well, right? So an easy example, basic example, I could eat the cake right now and enjoy the sugar and the chocolate, or I could skip dessert, work out for endorphins, and feel great when, you know, I'm putting on my clothes and I like the line that it makes. I mean, I know women's sugar diets, it's so cliche, but it was what I wrote, okay? Another example is that in terms of not just giving in to your physical wants and immediate gratification of your physical demands right now. Another example is I could pursue someone in a committed relationship and have an entanglement. Or I could avoid potentially being the catalyst for ruining a relationship and causing heartbreak, right? Me, as I am, to know that I was part of the scenario that caused people to be in pain, whether it's one or the two, just because I wanted one night or 6 months of physical contact with somebody, for me that would hurt. I don't like to hurt people. Let's just put it out there, right? So all of this to say that yes, hedonism might be thought of as the immediate gratification of physical desires. In my mind, I expanded that to include pleasure of the soul and spirit. And that means not just acting for myself, but taking into consideration the feelings of others, because not hurting others, let me phrase it like that, not hurting others would mean me avoiding pain, which is also the flip side of hedonism. You pursue pleasure, but you also avoid pain. That's hedonism right there. So me avoiding hurting others by delaying gratification for myself, that is how I wanted to incorporate hedonism into my life. So quote here, right? A hedonist that practices delayed gratification depending on the situation, that doesn't sound right. To be completely honest, that's what a lot of people practice right now. Christians, to be exact. Not just Christians, a lot of religions, that's what they practice. Delayed gratification. It is to a further or lesser extent that individuals decide what is worth the delayed gratification and what is not. I think in a lot of cases, especially these days, most people don't think that a lot is worth delayed gratification. It explains a lot in our society, myself included. We live in a society, right? So, ergo, since the way I wanted to incorporate hedonism don't really make sense, because then I'm just circling back to the religion that I was brought up with, more or less. I went back to the original definition of hedonism and I asked myself, could I be the type of person who sought only my own pleasure with complete disregard for anybody else? And I can't. Search my soul. Can I be a bitch? Unfortunately not. I mean, I have to say it because of my whole past. I do wish at some points I could just be like, screw everything, screw everybody, and just do what I want. But I have never felt brave enough, or like I had enough power to be reckless in that way. I always feel like you need bridges and you need people. You never know when you'll need somebody. Really, this no human is an island thing. I get that and I understand that. So I had to admit to myself that I wasn't a baddie. In case you couldn't tell, I'm looking at my notes. I wasn't a baddie who could dismiss the feelings of others, right? And hedonism is bound to bring you into conflict with others, right? And it brings the sour that accompanies the sweet, because again, duality. I'm now looking at my camera and I think it's crooked, so apologies. Right? Duality. The conflict that hedonism brings is the sour that accompanies the sweet. So an easy example, one I enjoyed, right? Again, we're going back to cake. Sorry about that. So you see cake in the office fridge. You know you didn't put it there, but you eat it anyways because you're a hedonist, right? Operating within the confines of capitalism, so you do go to work, right? We go to work, but I'm hedonistic when I can be, right? You see the cake, you eat it, but you wanted it, so you took it, not your cake. The cake belonged to Yvette, who can't stand your ass because this is the 5th time this month you messed with her stuff. So she and her friends key your car and blow out your tires because that is what you get when you eat Yvette's cake. Right? Again, that example, in case I lost you with all my talking, is that hedonism, for the sake of, in its truest form, hedonism is going to bring in conflict with people because you're just serving yourself, right? And you have to ask yourself, am I willing to be in that much conflict? Again, this is why we only see like the ultra elite and the ultra rich indulging in hedonism, usually after the fact when they're about to go to jail and everything comes out, because they are the ones with the power to do it. They are the ones who, like, even if I eat your cake, what you gonna do about it? I own the fridge, I own the desk you're sitting on, I own the building, and I own half the block. So what you really gonna do if I eat your cake? Nothing, right? So my conclusion as per this blog post is that hedonism is framed as attractive but is an unsustainable lifestyle, right? owing to duality, otherwise known as karma or Newton's third, there's always a consequence to single-mindedly chasing your individual pleasure. Pair that with a modern world revolving around constant stimulation, and a hedonist is sure to self-destruct in a spectacular fashion. Do you like my writing? It would probably better serve as a state of mind one consciously enters into to better indulge in intentional experiences. So by that I mean you can unlock your hedonistic state when on vacation, for example, because literally there's a hedonism or hedonist. I think hedonism in Jamaica, it's a resort. So you book a stay at hedonism in Jamaica and you go there with the full knowledge and intent to enjoy yourself to a ridiculous degree, but you're doing it in a space where everybody knows what everybody else is there to do. Certain behavior is expected, certain food is not certain food is served, but everybody knows what you're there to do, and you can indulge in that lifestyle there. Nobody's gonna bat an eye. You're not going to come into conflict, or it will be minor conflict, or the facilitators are going to have experience in resolving that conflict. So save your hedonistic side for a time and a place, basically. Right? And that's it. That was the end of my post. Nice, short and sweet, because I decided I wrote it because I had come to my conclusions about hedonism. I decided that I could not personally adopt it into my life, so I wrote my thoughts down, and that was it. You can check out my website. It's one of the last posts that I have up there, so check it out for a read if you want to. I really like the cover art. It's really good. I liked it. Thanks. Bye.